All right, hey everybody, and welcome to Chiustream. I am back. I have my buddy Jason Seiler on the stream today, illustrator extraordinaire, painter of last year's Time Magazine Person of the Year. Or was that this year, Jason? I forget.
I've done it actually for the last 3 years, but in 2013 it ran as the cover. It's kind of a weird, I can explain later. It's kind of weird how they do it, but yeah, they asked me the last 3 years to do it, which is pretty cool.
Okay, well, awesome. You know, either way, that image went completely viral on TV everywhere. So it's an absolute, always an absolute honor to have my talented friends on the stream as well. So yesterday we were actually supposed to stream, you and I.
Yeah.
But you had a kind of insane urgent job come in, and it was for the Weekly Standard. How long did you actually have for your painting?
Yeah, I mean, basically yesterday we were supposed to do it the same time yesterday that we're doing now, but the night before I got a call, and it's great because I've developed a good relationship with them, and they know they can count on me. And it was like one of those last-minute things because of New Year's. They needed to get all the artwork done in one day. So basically, I started yesterday morning and finished by 3 in the afternoon, 3:30. So it was just a crazy rush. It wasn't like a, it was, the nice thing is it was a simple image. I posted it on my Facebook page and Instagram, but it's basically just a full figure guy. And, it's just a job.
So how long was the turnaround, like approximately, like from when you got the job to when you delivered the job?
Well, I was asked, what's today? Today's Thursday. I was asked Tuesday night to do it, but I was already out. I wasn't, so I didn't get to start it.
Until Wednesday, yesterday.
Yeah, so I started early in the morning.
And then you handed it in when?
Around 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
crazy.
You get an assignment, the description of the assignment. You have to do a sketch. Now, do you have to give the sketch to them and have them approve it?
Yes, but with the Weekly Standard, they, for this particular job, it wasn't very complicated. They didn't need like a full-on scene.
You're regular. You're like their dude. So they've worked with you a million times.
I'm sure everybody knows Thomas Fluharty, but Tom and this guy Gary Locke, who's an awesome artist, us three are pretty much, we do pretty much most of the illustrations, and they know that they can rely on us. So for this one, they just needed a guy standing there, and they wanted to be a good caricature, good likeness, and it's not like supposed to be a funny one, like making fun of the guy. He just basically was, recovered from cancer, and they wanted to show his new shiny bald head, and he's a governor.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was pretty straightforward and just a white background, but still it's a full figure, full body figure that has to be, they want it in my style.
So the sketch that you gave them was kind of like more like a very simple composition, like, it's a blank background, so I kind of imagine a stick figure kind of thing with a slightly bigger head because it's in perspective, like forced perspective.
Yes.
And that's it.
Well, basically, I could have had him basically from any angle. I could have had him looking straight on, which to me is a little bit boring. So I decided to do like if you're looking up a little bit, looking down, because it just makes it a little bit more interesting. And the idea of I did another one for them recently. I think it was a week or so ago, of Ted Cruz, sort of the same thing. And basically, they want me to do it on a separate layer, so they can place it all over anywhere they want, put text behind it. They can put it on their website. So it's basically it'll probably be used again down the line. So it's almost like they're cataloging certain caricatures that they can use. So this one will print this week, but it'll also probably be used again some other time. But yeah, I mean, the sketch that I sent in, it's pretty much just it's just a very basic, almost gesture, because we don't have any time to waste, and they know that as long as they're like, okay, that feels right. I mean, with other clients, I'll spend a lot more time on a sketch, but with them, they already know, so it's nice to. They just want us to get going, you know.
Well, yeah, like how much feedback can you actually get for a one-day, not even a one-day turnaround, because you handed it in before their day ended.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, well, how much feedback would they expect to give, really? You know,
Yeah.
they're going to their go-to guy. So that's awesome. Like, so when you were done that job, you started at what? You started at 9, 8 o'clock?
No, yeah, probably like around 8:39, yeah.
8:30, 9 o'clock, you finish around 3, you hand it in, 3:30, something like that, you get a coffee, it's like almost 4. Do you call it a day at that point, or do you keep going?
Well, I actually have a bunch of other jobs I'm working on. So I worked on a couple of other things, but actually after that I was pretty beat, and so I worked out a little bit, took a shower, and then just chilled the rest of the night, pretty much.
And for the shower, are you more like a body wash guy or a soap guy? No, I'm just joking. So
usually I wear my hat in the shower. So.
Right on, right on. I used to like I like to do bubble mustaches in the shower.
Oh, that's funny. Imagine that. You got way too good of an imagination.
Well, you know, it's like I heard this question this week where it was just a question just going, if you had to change anything about yourself, or you could change anything about yourself, what would that be? And then I was thinking to myself, I would want to be able to grow a nice mustache. Right now, I cannot grow a freaking mustache if my life depended on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, see, you know, I can grow a mustache, but I've always wanted to be able to grow a beard. I can't.
Can't grow the beard.
No, but I can grow a mustache in like 2 weeks, but nothing anywhere else. And I don't even know if I would wear a beard all the time, but at least, you know, I would like to at least try it once. I can't even grow sideburns.
Now you have, like, what I would say, you got your style together. You know, you're a stylish person and very recognizable and stuff like that. And I've kind of seen the evolution since I've known you for like 10 years now. Do you think, not like you did it for like a celebrity kind of purpose or getting more fans and stuff like that, but do you feel that it helps for people to kind of have you on the tip of their tongue, you know, like remember you easier?
Not really. I mean, I can see that. I can see how. I think part of it has to do with, yeah, I have a distinct look, but I've been drawn by so many people too that you kind of just see that image. Like a lot of fans have drawn me, which is really cool. But I mean, I don't know. You know what it is? I think I'm sort of, in a way, I'm sort of a routine person, and I don't really like to mess around too much. And I mean, sometimes I do, but I mean, when it comes to stuff like, okay, when I get up in the morning and I got things to do, I don't want to spend any time figuring out what I'm going to wear or anything like that. And I've always been a hat person my entire life. I always wear hats. And for the longest time, it was just baseball hats. And then one day, I was walking somewhere in Chicago, and I saw this store, and I always thought newsy hats were pretty cool, and I put one on, and it's like Indiana Jones finding his hat.
And then did that kind of like grow to the point where it's not just your hat, now it's your mustache, now it's new tattoos, now it's new shirts, now it's new shoes, now it's coordinating?
I think it just happened because I had tattoos way before all of that. And the funny thing is the mustache thing, that I don't even have it right now. I'm considering maybe growing it back, but I got tired of it. It can be a, well, I had a huge mustache, so it can be kind of a deal. But
well, and you know, sorry to like interrupt, but it's also, I'm asking also because I feel like we have something slightly in common, which is like, you know, we have a baby face, right? Like you have a baby face,
yeah,
I have a baby face. I'm not, you know,
that's
ashamed
true.
to admit it. We don't, it's not like Kurt Russell or nothing. Kurt Russell looks like a man,
Yeah,
right? He looks like a man, and then when he grows those chops out and he grows his facial hair out, he looks
he
like
looks
a man
awesome.
times 1,000.
Yeah, yep. I mean, and that's funny. Like I mean, the main reason I ever even grew a mustache, I guess it kind of does go with my overall style, but it's not. It was never intentional. I actually just went. Um, like a few years ago, I was invited to go on this mustache bar crawl in Memphis.
And you
And
needed a mustache.
yeah, and I never grew my mustache out. And so
So
I
it was to
decided,
do a bar crawl. Is that what
yeah,
you're saying?
yeah, because these
That's
friends
hilarious.
invited me, and I was like, that sounds kind of like fun. I've never been to Memphis, and you know what? I've never grown a mustache, and I was curious, like, what I could even do.
Right on.
And there was all these rules, and like you had to have a mustache a certain size, so I started growing it out. And
Wow. What
and
the
and
hell?
actually, I didn't like it, and I
Okay,
felt
hold on. You got to go to a different city to do this thing. You got to grow a mustache a certain size. Like I wouldn't even bother doing. You know,
well.
it
It
just
was
seems like so much work.
every year they do they go. Well, I haven't gone for a long time now, but every year they choose a different city to go to, and it's all guys from Chicago, and they rent a huge bus, and they all pitch in, and they just
Okay.
go to the city, and it's just a bro time, and everyone's got big mustaches. So I
Okay.
thought
Okay.
this sounds
So,
fun.
sorry. This is super interesting to me, but we've been talking about mustaches for about 15 minutes. So let's go and change the subject. I want to take on a question, and definitely feel free to ask any questions you like in the chat. This one comes from Raymond. He says, I have pain in my arms and wrists from digital drawing. I'm very motivated to draw and work hard, but my arms won't let me, which is very frustrating. Do you have any tips, thoughts on this? I don't know about you, Jason, but I've been dealing with arm problems for years. And yeah, I feel you, because my heart and soul say I want to paint, I want to draw, but my body is saying I need rest, I need to take care of this arm. One tip is like, stop using your phone. You know, we practically have our iPhones or Androids or whatever attached to us. So when we're resting, what do? We pick up our phone and start looking at it. And what are you
That's
doing
true.
when you look, you know, on your phone? You're moving your fingers around and all that stuff and doing the exact same thing that hurt your arm in the first place. You know, so a really good tip is put that phone away. And also, I used to use a Cintiq monitor. You still use one, right, Jason?
Yeah, you don't use one?
I've been using it for many years. I had a big one, and now I have a small one. I have a 13-inch, and I have a big monitor. So what I do with my Cintiq is I will lay it flat. So I'm not actually looking at the Cintiq. I'm looking at my secondary monitor. That becomes my primary monitor, and now my arm, you know, my forearm is parallel to the ground, which is how it should be, and your upper arm should be perpendicular to the ground, making an L, right? And so with the Cintiq flat, I can have my arm in the proper ergonomical position, and I'm looking at my monitor. Anytime I want to draw anything very intricate, that's the time when you need to look down, and so I would look down at my Cintiq, do that detail, whatever it is that might be very difficult to do, and then I'll look back up. And that's actually cured a lot of.
I've never really, luckily, I haven't had any problems with that. I mean, every once in a while, my hand will get sore, and I just kind of shake it off, and then I keep going. But my Cintiq, I have it on an arm, and so I can put it
nice.
at any angle. I can put it down on my lap if I want to. I can put it up high. I can stand and work. So I can raise it up so I can stand. It's very comfortable. But I have like this huge robot arm thing, and that to me that helps because I can, if I get sore at a certain angle, I can move it pretty easily.
That's sweet. That sounds awesome. Yeah, and the other thing that really helps is like, the whole mental aspect of it, because it sounds like your brain, your motivation, it's healthy. You want to paint and draw, but actually you shouldn't, probably not as much as you did to get these problems. You got to do something about those problems. But
it depends too. Like it depends on like when I'm working on oil paintings and stuff. My whole approach is different as far as my setup, because I'm basically painting I step back and I'm painting with my whole arm, and that's pretty much how I start blocking in and everything. It's not like when painting on a Cintiq.
Yeah.
And so, I might get a little sore because I'm not used. Unfortunately, I don't get to paint traditionally as much as I would like to. So, but when I do, I definitely start feeling sore. So I think some of it has to do with you have to build up, certain tolerance to, your approach. But, I've also heard people saying that paint traditionally a lot. If your arm isn't sore, you're not doing it right, because you shouldn't be up close.
No, totally. The one thing I just want to end this point off with is, I had to deal with a lot of arm problems. My doctor said, stop frickin' drawing for a while. And I was like, how am I going to do that? And then, I started playing with my phone and had to get rid of my phone and put it away or whatever. So then I started to think, well, this must mean something. I will at least pretend this means something. What could it mean? What could I work on to still be productive without drawing and painting? And then that became a lot more involvement with schoolism. And that started kind of, like a year ago. And that was the reason why I started traveling so much and all this stuff, because I needed to still do stuff, because it's going to drive me crazy if I'm not doing stuff, but and be productive. But I couldn't draw, and that's the idea. Like how you deal with that failure will determine how successful you'll become later on. And you just got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's true.
Right on. This next question is for Jason. So Jason, the question goes, when is your portrait class going to be on, and what's it going to deal with? What's it going to be about?
Well, what was the first part?
When is your portrait class going to start?
I'm not 100% sure an exact date yet, but I'm hoping very, very, very soon. I've been working on it, and it's to be honest, it's been it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be putting it together, because when I do my portrait work, I don't really think about it too often about how I do it. And I have there's so many different ways to do things that I'm trying to figure out how to I guess not simplify, like dumb it down, but not add things that aren't completely necessary in there. And so there's so many ways that you could, for example, get proportions down or whatever. So, but I'm working on it right now, and I'm currently drawing a ton of eyes and explaining my techniques on how I get likeness and eyes and that kind of thing. And I've asked a lot of friends from around the world, from every kind of race and culture you can think of, to send me pictures of their eyes. So I'm not just drawing pictures of myself the whole time. And also, everyone's eyes are so different and unique, with ages, how old somebody is, young children. And so I'm just trying to, it's a lot to try to put together, but I'm hoping it really soon. But basically, it's going to be a class about my approach to drawing and painting portraits.
Yeah, and honestly, I've been watching it. I've been following along, and just from the first lesson, you could tell, like, it's going to be bulletproof. Kay's brother, Keith, he's artistic, but he's not an artist per se. And, yeah, he was watching it and getting tons from it. So it's going to be really, really cool when that course comes out, especially because you've been doing so many just, like, brilliant portraits for all these big magazines and stuff like that. People want to know, like, how do you go about doing it, including myself. Like, I would love to do a portrait of Kay or something like that, or myself standing over top of a lion. I don't know. I'm just joking, but yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting there with it. I'm pretty happy with the direction, but like I said, it's sort of weird because it's strange because there's a portrait can just be like I've done portraits that look very, very, very photorealistic. But to be honest, I'm not really a fan of that. I like it to be a lot more painterly and expressive. But I think a lot of what can make portraits more interesting is just an artist's aesthetic and the direction they choose to go with it. Because ultimately, what is a portrait? It's just it's observation and measurement, and then it's just that ability to capture that special little thing. And I think that's the thing that's hard to teach. That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm focusing on right now, is trying to figure out for myself, what is it that makes the portraits I do differently.
Awesome.
I don't really know exactly yet, so I'm working on it.
Well, what is really great about this is that, you're thinking about your class, you're thinking about how you're going to conduct this class and stuff like that. In other words, you're the one coming up with it. It isn't a regurgitated thing like you took a class on portraits and now you're teaching how that person taught you how to do portraits. That's always kind of like a rundown version of that knowledge, and kind of like the game telephone. Things get lost.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's true.
The other thing about your portraits is that, yeah, they are realistic portraits, but the style varies so much. So I cannot wait to see how you explain and how you teach your realistic portrait class. I love the subject matter, how to do it, how to teach it. That's something that, not a lot of people know how to teach well.
Yeah, what's funny is I never was taught how to do it either.
Well, that's one of the best things too, because it's, like I said, it's not like this rundown version, right?
Yeah.
You didn't learn it from somebody else, and now you're teaching some regurgitated stuff. Yeah. Now, we have another question, because the questions are kind of building up.
Okay.
I want to ask this one from Tim Walsh. How's it going, Tim? So Tim asks a great old school internet question, which I love, which is, what is the general opinion in the professional art world regarding handles? Would some names be considered too childish? Is it better to stick with your birth name? Now, handles, that's something that became very popular in the beginning, because I think people were very paranoid about telling real information or something. I don't know. I don't really, it's either that or there's kind of like this kind of weird connotation where, oh, you're posting your art, so you're trying to show off. So then you have this handle, right? Now, since then, handles have been less and less popular. What's your opinion about this, Jason?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, to me, that seems kind of goofy. I mean, mean, you know what's funny is I've I have a couple different Facebook pages. I've got like just a regular Facebook page where I will talk, and you know, I see cool things, I share, whatever. But I also share my artwork. And then I have my illustration page, which is just my artwork. And someone recently was like, "Man, all you do is post about your artwork and yourself and everything." I'm like, "Yeah, it's because that's how I make my living. That's like, you know, I share my work and I critique and I you know, have conversations with people. So to me, it's kind of goofy. I mean, I would never, like, why would I act like somebody else? Or I think really that would just confuse people. To have,
you know what though, people, you know, it's like people will always find something to complain about.
Mm-hmm.
Even if everybody loved your stuff, when everybody loves your stuff, you're going to attract those people that hate when everybody loves something. And say, these guys, they love it too much.
Yeah.
You know, this is ridiculous. His stuff is not that good. Even though the person might think your stuff is good, they'll still hate on you because they'll be like, it's not as good as other people think. You know, it's like so crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got onto that, but to end it off, I started off with a handle. I don't know if you had a handle, Jason, but mine was Digi at one point, and it was Digital Bobber at another point.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that. See, I don't think that's that weird because it's still tying into you. I'm not sure why I'm sure you had a reason why it made sense for you to do that, but I never, you know, for me, it was different because my intention all the time was to get the attention of art directors, and they need to know exactly who I am. So it doesn't make any sense. You know, if I'm entering shows like Society of Illustrators or stuff, you know, you would enter, you know, Jason Seiler. You wouldn't enter, you know, like my old email used to be Syler Paints, and I think that's what my Instagram is. So I guess maybe that might be a handle, I guess.
Kinda.
But,
yeah, kind of.
But to me, that's just telling people my name is Syler and I paint. You know, like, so I look at it more that way. Like I think it's good to make sure that people know who you are and what you do. You know, I think the less confusing you can be, even when it comes to your websites. I know some people's websites are they're just insane. Your website should be clean and to the point. You don't want people to be lost and not know how to find things, or you know, it should just be there. You know, so that's my opinion, anyways.
Totally. To put some context, right? When I came up with my handle, this was 2002, 2003. People were still nervous about, like, you buy stuff on the internet? Are you serious? Are you okay with that? You know, it was like that. I got my first email address maybe a year before that. There was no YouTube. There was no Facebook. There was no Twitter. I don't even know what you could really do on the internet. At that point, it was so crappy. But, you know, things always kind of start off kind of weird and kind of rocky sometimes when you look at, you know, really new kind of, I guess, almost like civilization, right? Because this is like an internet civilization, almost like a man-made dimension, the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so weird things happen in the beginning. Now, I wanted to, this isn't a question, but I just saw this comment from Jason Smith. I attended Jason's Schoolism in London a few years ago, Schoolism workshop a few years ago. I still am so grateful of your invaluable advice from that day and try to use those techniques in my work today. I want to read that to you.
That's pretty awesome.
Affecting lives, right on. Let's go to Miha. Her question is, most animal anatomy books I've seen seem to focus on mammals, and maybe, if I'm lucky, birds. Where would you look to get animal or anatomy reference on, say, reptiles or amphibians? Well, there are a lot of animals in this book that I'm about to tell you, but you know, it's such a fantastic book, and it's relatively new, and it's really by pretty much the most knowledgeable creature designer out there, which is Carol Whitlatch. Animals, Real and Imagined. That's the title of the book. Highly recommended.
I need to get that book.
It's awesome, and she actually came out with 2 others, and you know, I'm not getting paid for this or nothing. She is a friend, but she was an artistic hero much before we were friends. She has 2 other books that are fantastic. I just got them. Principles of Creature Design and Science of Creature Design. That might be the one that you would want. Science of Creature Design deals more with anatomy and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess let's go on to the next question.
By the way, it's so cool watching you do this painting.
Oh, right on, right on.
Is that Sketchbook Pro?
This is Sketchbook Pro. So,
See,
well, now it's Photoshop. It went back and forth.
All right, because I've only used Sketchbook Pro for sketching. I've never figured out the painting part of it. It seems, I think I'm just too used to painting with Photoshop. So, but it's interesting watching.
Well, definitely try it out because probably the version that you used last is different from this version. And big shout out to my big homie Eric Canetti at Riot Games in the chat. What's up, Eric? Great to see you. Yeah, so Sketchbook Pro, big shout out to them. Love those guys. And of course, Photoshop, the ultimate mother of us all. Let's go on to the next question here, okay? So, question says, do you use timers or alarms to remind yourself to take breaks? How long a duration would you normally paint draw at a time? Now, I am super methodical like that. Are you? Probably not, right? Like,
no, you know,
I do it because I got arm problems.
Yeah,
so I gotta be more more strict.
You know what I try to do is, well, first of all, I've got a boxer puppy. I mean, he's a year old now, so he's pretty huge. He's like 75 pounds, but he needs to go for walks and things like that. So,
oh, you set the alarm for that?
Well, I don't set an alarm at all. I just and the thing I've realized too is it's hard because a lot of my deadlines they're not like, oh, I need it next week. They're like almost everything I do, it's like I need it now, and I find it hard to actually take breaks because I know how much time it's going to take for me to get a certain thing done, and if I take too many breaks, I'm not going to get done. But I have realized that if I get up, it's good to get up and walk around anyway. But it kind of just gives me a little bit of a break that kind of just wakes me up a little bit, fresh, and makes me feel fresh. And then, kind of rests my eyes for a little bit or whatever. But I'm talking like 10, 15 minutes tops, and then I'm back. But I don't, like, I'll sit 6, 7 hours straight just plowing through to get a job done because it's got to be done. So I think when I'm painting for myself.
Wow, 6 or 7 hours straight, not getting up, like maybe just to the washroom, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and sometimes,
that sounds totally unhealthy. I'm sorry. Like, I worry about you, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't do that all the time.
Okay.
I'm just talking about, like,
heavy deadline days.
Yeah, like yesterday, for example, like the job I started in the morning. I like to put documentaries or interviews on, like, YouTube and just listen to, like, conversations about things that interest me, and I just plow through my work. Yesterday, I got my piece to a certain point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a lunch and just chill out. So I made myself some soup and I just relaxed for about a half an hour, and I come back and I just finished the job.
Okay, let me tell you mine. Okay, so I got this partially from Carla Ortiz because she had arm problems as well. So I'll set my timer. 20 minutes, right? I'll set it and start doing whatever, because I know it's going to go off in 20 minutes. I'm going to try to be productive with those 20 minutes. I'm not going to make coffee for 20 minutes and drink coffee, right? So that's one good thing about just setting a very short alarm. And then when that alarm goes off, I turn away from my computer and I stretch for a minute, right? Do the stretch for a minute, or actually, sorry, this part is crucial. When the alarm goes off, I stop it and I start it again, so another 20 minutes, and I'll stretch for the first 1 minute, not looking at my computer, looking somewhere else. After that minute, I'll turn back and I'll look at my painting, and now I got kind of like a fresh look at it again. And I know I only have 19 minutes before that freaking alarm goes off again. So actually, I found made me a lot more effective.
I think that it would have a weird effect on me because I think I get so lost in focusing and I have to get done by a certain time that I would be focusing and worried too much about the alarm going off.
Yeah, it's, well, everybody has a different kind of way, and it doesn't always work for anybody or everybody, but that's part of the whole search for knowledge and all that stuff. You search how all these people do stuff and see which one kind of,
I think ultimately, it has to do with what works best for you. And I mean, when I have a deadline where I've got a lot more time, I definitely take a lot more breaks. It's just those crazy, I think one of the craziest ones I ever did was I painted Rick Ross for Rolling Stone.
That one's awesome. I love that one.
Oh, thank you. They called me Thursday night and they're like, can we, do you think that you could do a portrait and have it done by the end of tomorrow? And I was just like, yeah, of course. I don't ever turn them down. But I got up at 5 in the morning and had a sketch to them by probably 8 that they approved, and then I had to have it done by it's 6 o'clock their time, I think. It was either 5 or 6 o'clock. I can't remember now. But on that day, I barely took any breaks. There was, so there's those kind of jobs where it's almost like a marathon. That's what it feels like. And then I just took a crazy hot shower, and just relax the rest of the night. So, yeah, but it's not like that every single time. But I'm sure a lot of illustrators out there who do illustration for magazines or anything, I'm sure they can relate because, I don't know. It really depends on the job, but I think I tend to get those kind of jobs a lot more than the ones where I have more time. So it can suck sometimes.
Hey, wow, Victor is here. Man, I am not too sure how to actually pronounce Victor's last name. I met him one time in Paris. Just freaking amazing artist. Victor Kalvachev. I hope I got that right. Huge honor to have this man.
That's a very tough, intimidating name, Victor. Even
I love it. That's a handle by itself.
Yes, V-I-K. V-I-K. I feel like this is a Viking or Victor, like more like a vampire or something.
Yeah, you do not want to battle this man.
That sounds like a character from a Marvel comic.
That is a good. You know what? I agree. There should be a lot more cool names like that. Instead
definitely
of
a villain.
Bruce Bachner, Bachman or something. So let's go on to the next question, which is, so the next question goes, I bought my subscription to Kickstarter. Mr. Jason, is your portrait class going to start in April 11th, please? No. It's going to come out when it comes out.
I think it'll be out before that. That's my plan.
Yeah, but the subscriptions, they first come out where it's just one-on-one. It's like the premium version, you know, with the feedback. And then once we have feedback videos, then it goes into a queue for, you know, the subscribers. Because actually the feedback videos are super important to learn, for the whole entire learning process. You watch somebody's mistakes, you watch how the instructor looks at, you know, somebody else's work. They could bring up a lot of questions that you have that you just never thought of that totally pertain to you. So, yeah, Jason's class, sorry to interrupt you, Jason, but
Not fair.
it will come out when Jason's done his first round of premium classes. But that really is, that's the thing to get on. I'm telling you, when you do the premium classes with the feedback, that's when the magic happens. And this is talking not just from the teacher's point of view, but also from the student's point of view. And you know, now I'm taking more and more full classes with critique, you know, under a pseudonym, under another handle, you know, so I don't get any special treatment or anything, because I want to experience it like everybody else. And actually, very exciting something is that, you know, Craig Mullins, you know, have you met Craig yet, Syler?
No, but his work's insane. I love it.
His work is, yeah, it's freaking phenomenally insane. He's doing a class which is so limited. He's only taking 2 students at a time for a portfolio review class. So, of course, I'm taking that opportunity too. So he's going to be reviewing my portfolio. I'm going to record the thing and put a little video together to show everybody when he does it. It's like, what an opportunity.
Yeah, I really love his my favorite thing about his work is that it looks, you know, it's so much fun to look at, like interesting to look at. Like a lot of digital fantasy type work, to me, it's like, all right, I've seen that a million times, but his is so distinct and he's got so much texture and just I can look at his pieces forever and it's so epic.
And that's the thing. It's like it's hard. It stays distinctive, I feel, because his style is so based on so much technical skills, so much foundation, which, you know, it's not like, oh, I use the same kind of thickness of a line and then I, you know, use these kind of colors and now I'm drawing or painting just like this other person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't, it's super hard to copy him.
Yeah. You can try.
Yeah, totally.
He's awesome, though. I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you will.
Yeah, he's really cool.
The other thing I want to mention was that another fantastic class is your class. I just want to tell you that. A person, actually, you know, a person earlier was saying that they loved the Schoolism workshop you did in London, but another person, Guy Kernan, is saying that he took your class a year ago or so, and that was an awesome class and you're a great teacher. Now, what I want to tell everybody out there is got to look up the other people that have taken Jason's class so you can see, you know, proof is in the pudding. And you can see how much they're transformed. And just a little plug for Jason's course, Jason's Art of Caricature, where you're not just learning character, you're learning the face, you're learning painting, you're learning the color, applying color, and all that stuff. Your premium class starts February 22nd. So, you know, space is limited. It's a very unique, special opportunity to learn from one of the best in the biz. So there you go. I'm going to stop there. Let's go on to another question, okay? So I think the next question here is from Joshua, and Joshua says, I recently purchased a Wacom Intuos tablet, but the disconnect is hurting my arm. Should I invest in an iPad Pro or Cintiq, or will this feeling go away with time? Well, Intuos tablet, like I said, the best position ergonomically for your arm is to have the upper part of your arm perpendicular to the ground, right? And your forearm to be parallel with the ground. So it makes a 90 degrees angle, okay? And your monitor should be at eye level. So if you just have your eyes straight ahead, you should be looking at your monitor. You shouldn't have to look down or up. If you do those things, I don't think it really matters that you're using a Intuos tablet or a Cintiq or whatever. Try that first before you shell out a lot of cash.
Yeah, that's true. I always had problems with the tablet. I mean, not like, I mean, I started off with a tablet, and it was a really terrible one. It was like, I think it was called a Graphire. It was really bad, but
those ones are, well, that's from like a really long time ago.
Oh yeah, and then I did get the Intuos, and it was really nice. But I always felt like basically once I started working on Cintiq, drawing right on the screen is definitely the best thing ever.
Yeah, and the next question, the person asks, have any of us tried 3D? Like I tried a little bit. I took it in school and stuff like that. Made a short little film. I'm not much of a computer guy. And Jason, I think you're not that much of a computer guy.
I'm terrible at computers.
So 3D.
Are they asking 3D like?
Have you ever tried to do like model something?
I've tried real 3D, like
like sculpture,
like sculpting and wood carving and yeah. But yeah, I mean, what was the question? Like, does it help with your 2D?
I was just wondering if you had any advice on that, if you use 3D stuff, which we probably don't. So why don't we go on to...
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think understanding, if you can understand 3D, it's going to help your artwork, obviously, it's going to help you. Like one of my favorite artists to follow is James Gurney, and I love how he makes 3D models for his paintings. And I think that's a cool idea. So, I mean, it definitely can't hurt, No,
totally. We have about 10 minutes left, so let's go on to the next question here. This person wants to add on to the last question. This one's from Mark Burnett. He asks, to add on to the last question, how much do you think 3D supplements 2D? I'm currently learning ZBrush with the hopes on it improving my understanding of form. I think the future really, anyways, in the video game film industry is a mesh of the 3D and 2D. There'll still always be a place for 2D, but more and more people are doing kind of like the mesh where they start off in ZBrush. They might render it out in KeyShot and then, paint on top of it in Photoshop. It's really becoming kind of like a combination of disciplines.
Yeah.
Now, the next question here says, Tim asks, Bobby, do you have any new info on tracking down an artist to teach a comic class? And he named a couple that, this is the thing. Jason is super busy, with his work, but I would say I would have to kind of argue that comic book artists are actually even busier than us. And Jason's a lot busier than I am with all these crazy, very quick deadlines. The movie industry tends to be a lot more relaxed. But yeah, comic books, man, these people work so darn hard.
And they have a lot to do, like pages.
if you're thinking, oh yeah, you need to finish a page a day, how many compositions, how many pictures are you making? You're making a heck of a lot of pictures just in one day.
Yeah.
So that's the toughest part. The really great comic book artists are so busy. They're so busy. So yeah, I am definitely actively searching out a comic book artist as well, but I want to make sure that it's somebody that, you know, is really going to be good for the job. Next question. Chad writes a quote. Picasso once said, "Good artists copy, great artists steal." Is there an artist, past or present, whose style heavily influenced your work beyond the normal? And I guess, you want to start on this one, or you want me to start on this one?
Yeah, I guess I can. I mean, for me, when it, you know, when I first started into art, well, I've been doing it ever since I was a little kid, but when I decided as a kid that I wanted to be an artist, I copied comics like crazy.
Who was your guy? Who are your peoples? Your favorite?
You know what, to be honest, it's hard. I mean, I loved like Frank Miller stuff when I was, when I was first doing it. But then it got into, when I started getting into caricature, I was really influenced by like, Mort Drucker, Jack Davis, Al Hirschfeld, and then I started. I came up with this idea that I wanted to do caricature, but I wanted to paint it as realistic as possible, and because I had never saw that before. And then shortly after that, my dad bought me a book by Sebastian Kruger, and I was like, of course, damn it, he's already doing that. So I really, when I first got started doing like the serious type stuff, I was really influenced by his work, because it was exactly what I was trying to do. But then eventually, as I started becoming more of an illustrator, I started becoming more influenced by illustrators like J.C. Leyendecker, Rockwell, and I don't think that I would say that I stole from them. I guess it's basically, you just notice certain things about certain artists that you really like, so you try to figure out how they do that, and I still do that to this day. Like, I would say one of my favorite artists is an artist from, I think, London or England, but her name is Jenny Saville, and she's her awesome. Her brushwork and everything is like, even though I'm not doing paintings in her stuff, like big nude portraits and stuff like that, her brushwork, I would say I really love her brushwork and her palette, and I try to like, I think you can definitely see some of that in my portraits, like my Mark Ruffalo and different things. You can see, I'm like, all right, I really love how she does that, and I'm going to try to figure out how to do that. And it's because I love it so much that I want to try to see if I can make it my own and take it somewhere else. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think every artist does that.
No, totally. So, which kind of artist did I study or whatever? I'm going to go way back, just because I just kind of remembered. My Pet Monster was the first thing that I started to draw, I think, like actively try. Oh, no, The Real Ghostbusters, that TV show.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff was awesome, and I remember doing a little flip book of that. And anyways, fast forward, Steven Silver. I actually, I drew a lot of his stuff. I studied a lot of his stuff. Sebastian Kruger as well. Peter DeSev. Sanders.
Oh. I forgot to mention him. Peter DeSev. He's definitely, I love his work.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And he's an awesome dude.
And he's an awesome freaking guy. It just makes you kind of just go, oh, him, Ian McKeag, oh my gosh, studied Ian's stuff. it's amazing that it's so amazing to me that so many of the people I study are people that I have in my phone now. Things like that. It's just
you're like a pimp. like Jay-Z has Obama on his phone.
well, and I got you on my phone, so that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, who else? I think that rounds off the top people. Richard Schmidt.
Oh, yes.
Sargent. Those are people I studied as well. Of course, there's so many others, but I'll finish it there. Let's do some rapid fire questions because we're almost out of time. Okay, so the next class says, or the next question is about a class, which is why I said that. It says, will Carol's class be available for subscriptions at any point? Yes, it will after she's done the first round of premium classes where she's given individual feedback to people, because we want that part of the class when it goes to subscription. The next question here is JK asks, do you know when or if Schoolism will have a mobile app so we can watch lessons and feedback videos on the go? And that is a great question. That's something that we are working on now. With Schoolism growing so quick in the last year or so, really, we need a new infrastructure. We need to rebuild much of it to cater towards the new amount of people in our community. So we are for sure working on that, and that will be coming out. It will be, you will be able to watch Schoolism classes on your iPhone and all that stuff when the next version comes out. But since we need to redo pretty much everything and we want to add some cool stuff, I would expect it's going to take about 7 months. I know it's a long time to wait, but it will be worth the wait, I promise you. The next question is, if you're designing a character and you want to show a bit of environment for a portfolio or for a client, for that matter, how far would you push on that environment? Suggestive. That is the key word there. Be suggestive. You do backgrounds in your illustrations as well, a lot of times, architecture and whatever else. What would be your rapid fire advice?
Yeah. Well, for me, with the kind of work that I do, it really just depends on what the job is. A lot of times, with portraits, for example, it'll be like painterly type thing. But if there is an environmental thing, with caricature or portrait, the most important thing is that you don't, first of all, you're supposed to be telling a story, so you don't want to distract from the character. You want it to lift the character up, support that character. But again, it depends on what you're doing, it's like what the art director wants. But I definitely think that to simplify the background, especially in illustration, makes a lot more sense, because it's all about directing the viewer's eye to where you want them to look, and you don't want it to be too crazy and chaotic. But, it really just depends. It depends on your style and what the purpose is of the job that you're doing.
Totally. The last question here, okay. Christoph asks, as someone trying to get into freelance, what would you recommend to get clients? I've been trying for a while, but I still find that I'm being asked to work for very little. Jason, you want to take this one?
Sure. Well, the first thing, Christoph, you need to understand that the illustration world, it's very, very, very competitive. There are just so many artists and styles, and I don't know what kind of work that you do, but you have to make sure that you have a distinct style, not just a style that's got, you know, strong quality to it, but something that you're able to, you know, that you're able to be recognized by, and so it might take a while to get the attention of magazines and art directors, and I don't know, like if you're doing the children's books or whatever, but it's not something that just happens. It can, you know, it took me years, and I still, you know, to this day, I still, you know, like I just finished a portrait for Time magazine, and when I was done with it, I sent it to any past clients of mine, you know, including the U.S. Postal Service, because I've done stamps for them. So just everybody to say, hey, remember me? This is what I just did for Time. You know, so I still do the same thing, and sometimes you will never hear anything back. Other times, you know, maybe a month later, you hear back. So it's not easy, and you have to just keep working on it. I think, you know, it's sort of hard to answer the question without seeing your portfolio and seeing your work. Mm-hmm. But I think the, you know, work ethic and attitude is really a huge important part of it. And I also think, you know, making sure that you are being part of whatever show you can, like Communication Arts, American Illustration, Society of Illustrators, yeah, like all those things. You know,
I was just gonna say that actually.
Yeah.
To go out there and, you know, spread your stuff around. You know, like try to get into American Illustrators, Society of Illustrators.
And you gotta be, you know, it can be very, very, very easy to get discouraged and frustrated. I know it's cliche, but it's all very, very subjective. And, you know, like this last year, I submitted what I thought was some of the best work I've ever done. Definitely one of the best paintings I have ever done for Rolling Stone. They even told me that themselves. And a bunch of others that I was like, this, you know, I know that they should be in the show. Because I've been in the show and I've seen what gets in. Sometimes stuff that gets in, you'll be like, what? How'd that get in there? But then, you know, I luckily got a piece in the show, but it wasn't that piece. I was thinking, well, yeah, I got a piece in the show, even though I submitted tons.
You know what? You should just bring your painting frame, go to the show, take off a painting, and put yours up like Kanye West style, and go, listen.
Drop the mic.
Your thing has no integrity if you don't have this painting up.
Well, I love it. It's I don't know, but it's one of those things, like it's the same thing with American Illustration, you know, like there's been years where I submitted to all these shows and I don't get in, and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't get in. And it's frustrating because you pay money to get in the show. But then there's shows you get in, and then you see the show, and then some of the pieces that win awards or different things, you're going to feel discouraged if you let that stuff get to you. Mm-hmm. The point is in order to be discovered, you still should try to do that anyways, and don't be just, you know, just because you don't get in doesn't mean that your work's not great. I actually did a post after Society of Illustrators this year because a lot of people were complaining online that they didn't get in the show, and so I shared all the pieces of mine that didn't get in the show because I wanted to show them that these are pieces of work that I'm very proud of, and I think that they turned out great, and they're for huge publications, and they still didn't get in. So, you know, you can't just think like, oh, I did this awesome painting and I didn't get in, so I'm never submitting again.
Yeah, or you can think, man, Jason couldn't even get all his paintings in. Like, what the hell? I have no chance at all now. Yeah, I could have just discouraged like 99% of all.
Well, you know what? It's weird. It's a weird thing. Like you know, it can definitely be a political thing at times too. But I guess what I'm trying to say is just that's what you have to keep doing. You have to keep submitting to those things.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention that that's only a small section, right? Yeah. Like I've gotten so many, you know, connections, introductions, jobs, whatever from Comic-Con. from going to San Diego Comic-Con, showing
Yeah.
my stuff there. CTN, same thing. A lot of these conventions, as well as workshops. Who goes to workshops? The top of the top of the top professionals, the 1% of professionals that are still actively learning. You know, so go to professional like workshops. Where do you go to these? How do you find them? Well, you know what? School is it? We do a whole bunch, and you know what? I go to over 10 a year. So that's part of designing my life towards constant learning and constant stuff that will help my career. So it helps in many ways. I learn as well as I get to meet all sorts of people, all sorts of artists and things like that that might be able to be involved in my career in a positive way in the future. And I get to meet other artists as well as hang out with instructors and pick their brains and learn all sorts of stuff. So that's one huge part, you know, to constantly go out where other professional artists go. Your network, even though it's kind of like a icky word in the art world because it sounds like, oh, it's so surface level, you know, you're not doing it for the art, now you just care about likes and shares, whatever, but it's more for your career, right? That is a huge part of it. Now, as you were talking, I was writing down some stuff, Jason. So one of the things that I feel, you know, if we want to attack the problem head on, which is, you know, trying to get your work out there so you can get more and more freelance and better freelance, the thing that will separate you from everybody else is your creativity. You know, so first kind of thing to think about, to chew on, is that brainless jobs that take very little creativity are getting automated more and more. So security in your career comes from being creative. If Jason only painted straight portraits, realistic, you know, looks like a photo, he wouldn't have the career that he has. You know, it's because of his creativity with those portraits. Now, another thing dealing with creativity is that don't compete with the other people around you. Don't compete with Jason. You know, first or last place doesn't matter if you measure success by your effort that you put in. And really, putting in 100% effort, that's what it takes to have a good career in the long run. Right? So that's important. And when you are trying to kind of measure success on how much effort you put in, know that a beginner's idea of their point of exhaustion is fictional half the time. The moment you're tired as a beginner is really just like your brain just, oh, I'm a little tired, let's stop. You know, but your potential is way further than that. You can go way past that. Like Jason's sitting there for 7 hours straight, barely even going to the washroom, you know, and cranking out a painting that is going to be published and all this stuff in an afternoon. You know, so go past your exhaustion. And the moment that you are tired and ready to stop, that is your opportunity for growth. That is the best opportunity to excel, because when normally you would stop, now I'm telling you, that's the point. After that point is when the best stuff happens. It's because you would have normally stopped, and now you keep going. So now you're improving, as well as improving your attention span, your concentration, your discipline, your determination, all that stuff. Which leads me into the next thing, determination and faith. You know, faith in yourself is something that so many artists deal with, and it is the key ingredient to rapid change. So if you want to get out there, you want to get more clients and all that stuff, It's time to believe in your potential. And I can say, for the most part, I feel that I believe in more artists than those artists believe in themselves, because 95% of all artists, they don't believe enough in themselves.
Yeah.
And the last thing is that success or getting out there and all that stuff shouldn't be left up to luck. You have to plan for it, and you have to strive for it to make sure you get it. Don't let your life be kind of just put into the hands of life or nature or fate or whatever.
I don't think there really would be. Like, I don't like that luck thing that people talk about. Oh, you're so lucky. It's like, no, I mean, if I wasn't working and putting myself out there, luck doesn't have anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. You know, eventually I'm going to be, when I first got started, I remember that I just knew if I keep going, if I keep doing this, eventually I'm going to someone's going to hire me for something. It's going to happen. And it's like what you said, you have to believe.
You got to have that faith.
And the other thing is, like, I think that I made a decision a long time ago that when someone sees Syler on something, it is going to be up to the highest quality possible. And sometimes you're not going to be able to do that. But it's like the whole Babe Ruth thing. Like, I think he struck out more than anybody, but he's known for his home runs. Like, you have to try to hit a home run every time. You want that. You want your quality and everything to be there, because that's part of your integrity, is having not only strong creativity and aesthetics, but like that your work is always professional and always top of the line. And it isn't going to happen all the time. I've done plenty of pieces that I just, I can't even stand them. But I think to have that attitude all the time while you're working on stuff really will help you to separate yourself from everybody else.
Oh, for sure. And I think the other thing, if I could just kind of, that advice is so good, I want to kind of give it a sidekick. And the sidekick would be that you're swinging for the fences, you're trying as hard as you can, you're going for your potential, you want to do that for everything, you don't want to do anything half-assed, but at the same time, I tell myself, it's okay if it turns out bad. I'm not expecting anything crazy awesome. I'm just going to try it and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found that if I put too much pressure on myself and I'm going, okay, this needs to be super awesome, it usually never is. It's usually not my best work. The best work usually comes from being intensely concentrating and all this stuff, but not in a stressful state. In a state where I'm just like, I'm into it. Right? And I'm sure you've had many experiences like that too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to aim for it. Aim, to push yourself and take things to another level. My goal, for example, I have lots of goals, and I don't think that you should ever be at a place as an artist where you feel comfortable and think that you have it all figured out. That's the moment that you're done for. You should never ever think that you know everything about drawing or painting. And I mean my goal, it's not really a New Year's resolution, it's just more of a goal for me personally, is I want to start doing more acrylic and oil paintings, but pushing it past where I've ever done before, and taking it and just something for myself, to push myself even more, because I know that's going to also help my digital painting become even better.
And I love it. part of the thing about having artists on here or interviewing them is just like, for me anyways, it's like this confirmation that, yeah, these things that, you know, I constantly tell other students and stuff like that, all my professional buddies, they're doing it. You know, they're not just preaching it, they're doing it. They're doing the good art habits and all this stuff, and, you know, highly respect the art of learning, to be a constant, you know, student for life, always striving for more. So it's really great for you to say that, Jason. We are out of time. I just want to mention a couple things that I think many people out there will be interested in, because like I said, if you're interested in these streams, you'd definitely be interested in attending one of our Schools and Live workshops. So here's a few that are coming out. Right? Montreal, March 12th, 13th, 2016. Tickets are on sale right now. We're having Daniel Arriaga, art director and character designer from Pixar, Daniel Arriaga. Chris Pern, he's working on the new Han Solo movie that sounds just anything Star Wars right now. It's freaking awesome. Storyboarding artist as well as director. Luis Gonzalez, story artist. Luc de Marchelier, environment and design. Nathan Fowkes, you know, just a master of pretty much everything. And then Steven Silver, who I mentioned before, is one of the first people I really studied. So really great lineup. Then we have Florence, March 19th, with Helen Mingju Chen, Ryan Lang, and myself. Ryan, he just had some art put out there from Marvel because he worked on Doctor Strange coming up. That's going to be epic. Seattle, April 7th and 8th. That is the same weekend as Emerald City Comic Con, so go to the Comic Con, stay for the workshop. April 7th and 8th. Tickets are on sale right now. Marcelo Vignali, Daichi Satsumi, Robert Kondo, Carol Whitlatch, Mike Yamada, and myself. Huge lineup. The in-house workshop, if you really want to get intense with art, it's open right now for portfolio submission for April 17th to May 16th, 2016. Only 4 artists are accepted at one time. The other thing is, I mentioned Jason's class, his premium class, Art of Caricature, highly recommended, starts February 22nd, and also Perfect Date, a book I wrote years ago for artists, everything that I learned, as well as all of these very successful artists. I think Jason's in there as well. That book is free to download until end of January. Okay, so I'll put a link when I post this video on YouTube. Otherwise, thank you everybody for tuning in, hanging out. Thank you, Jason, for doing some overtime. I know this went on a little longer than we expected. Any last things you want to say, Jason?
Yeah, just thanks for having me on. It was a fun conversation.
Right on. All right, take care, everybody.
The wow moment is probably when you start and you meet everyone for the first time. The ability to connect with each other.
When I came here to the workshop, it was like a huge step for me. Like, okay, I'm getting my drive back.
And there was a little period where I found myself like I couldn't draw the way I used to, and I was a little bit lost. And then after the second week, there was a day when everything clicked, and all the things that they were telling me kind of like made sense. And in a minute, I understood the whole thing, and that was pretty overwhelming moment. Like, okay, now I get it. Now I can get all the stuff that they're teaching me, and I can apply it to what I've been doing for the last years.
T is a very persistent teacher. He's very honest, and I think that's what makes us grow, because he's not afraid of showing what we're doing wrong and what we can do to improve. He's not trying to make us happy, he's trying to make us learn. So that makes all the difference for me.
T has a very clear way of explaining things.
When he gives us our feedback, it's just like
you think that you've done an okay job, and then he just takes it to like a whole different level.
That's just the main crazy thing, because now I can tape well on the Cintiq, and 3 weeks ago I couldn't.
I've evolved so much since I came here. It's like a boot camp where I got all the tools I need.
I think that's the most incredible thing, and we've been working like this for the whole month, and I feel that I improved a lot.
And so that was one of the reasons I really wanted to do the workshop. Be surrounded by art, be surrounded by other students.
After this workshop and meeting other artists, you really get to open your mind to the different perspectives and the different minds and how big the world actually is. You know, someone's from Spain, someone's from Austria, Brazil, and then people in Canada. It's just crazy.
This was the best experience I've had in education. It's like I went through college and I had to do a lot of classes that I wasn't interested in. I would do the things I was, and then it's diluted in between different subjects. But this one, you live the course, you wake up, you're in class, the level of immersion is so intense that there is no way that you won't learn a whole lot. It was extremely rewarding.
It's definitely life-changing. I would definitely recommend this workshop to anyone.
I haven't been to any other school or class or anything like that where the teachers have this level. This is industry level. This is something that you don't get in any normal school in any way. So the fact that you are living with them and they're teaching you stuff day by day and they can comment on what you do, it's a big privilege, it's a big thing. It's not, you don't take it for granted.
It's really amazing. I really suggested the first Colombian here. So I'm gonna just spread the word because it's really worth it. I love an experience.
Every artist should go through such an experience. Learn meeting people and getting to know other techniques and going deep into art for like a whole month. It's awesome.
Awesome!
Awesome.
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 Awesome!
Awesome.